Welcome to Agents Growth Academy. I am your headmaster, Jim Schubert, and I am joined by a repeat guest, but I want to say an oldie, but he's not old, but a goodie. Mark Engels from ePayPolicy. He's their CEO. He is at the helm of the ship. And as you can see behind him, there is a navigable waterway that he could otherwise navigate on a ship.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Lake
Where
Austin's
so
in the
where
background.
tell me about your background. We were just talking about that off air, but tell people where you are if they're watching this.
Yeah, so our office sits on Lake Austin, here, right in the central part of the city, and it's really a river. It's just dammed up on both ends, so they call it a lake. And this time of year, and you'll probably see during the podcast here, we get a lot of boat traffic out here by the office. So when it's 100 degrees in Central Texas in the summer, you need to be in the water if you're
Yeah,
outside. There's a lot of people out there doing it right now.
yeah, no doubt. And we were talking off air too. Like I escaped up here to Rhode Island. We're probably a good 25, 30 degrees cooler than you are in
Yeah,
Austin.
you win. You win.
Yeah, I know. I won't rub it in your face. Well, let's get right into it because I think we got a lot of valuable stuff to share with agents today. Had you on before, we talked about what you were about to do
Yeah.
with Checkmate, and I think we talked a little bit about that. But we personally in our agency, we've used ePay for a few years now, and it has revolutionized the way that we handle our receivables. We write a lot of agency bill because we have some niche business that is not standard market business. So we do write a lot of it. And one thing that I'm excited we're going to talk about today that could potentially even impact me is I do have my own finance company because I write so much agency bill. But for those agents who don't have their own finance company, was the vast majority of them, I think you got a little something that they're going to be interested in talking about too. So give us some updates on what ePay policy is doing in the marketplace. It's going to shake things up for agents today.
Yeah, sure. So, look, I think generally when people think about ePay and sort of the history of the company, we've been really good at what I call digital AR management. So you want to take paid in full for a premium via ACH or credit card. We've got it solved for you, and obviously leverage our integrations that we've got into the management systems to auto reconcile that as well. One of the things that we heard from our customers as we are out in market is that they still get a lot of checks, right? And so we launched Checkmate last year to help automate that process as well. So we went from digital AR management to holistic AR management. So any form of payment coming in related to the premium, we can manage that all outsourced and auto reconcile those back against your management system. Well, as we were out in the market talking to our customers, a couple of other themes emerged. One of which was much like your agency, Jim. A lot of folks do quite a bit of financing of their larger commercial premiums that they write, but that process is somewhat offline and manual today. And I'm in a fortunate position that I work with several of the top premium finance companies in the US as well. And so I had my premium finance customers saying, hey, you're connected to 6,500 plus agencies in the market today and into their management systems. Why can't you help us pull the data we need to automate this financing process and offer those terms at the checkout on the ePay policy page? And so that's essentially what we've brought to market with Finance Connect, leveraging the integrations that we've got with the financing companies that we work with, and also the downstream agencies who are out there, like yourself, selling the policies to make financing much easier for your insureds. There's all kinds of stats in the markets about how that increases actual throughput in terms of the time to collect on the payments, and the ability to actually increase the number of loans booked by the premium finance companies as well, just because it's front and center at the checkout now for the insured. And so we brought that product to market here this year. And then the other one that's also in market now is our payables product. So the other thing that came to light as we were out talking to the folks is, hey, look, great, you're helping me collect payment, fantastic. I've still got a real problem in reconciling my payable upstream to the carrier. and all of the statements that I get from them on a monthly basis. And so leveraging the same core machine learning technology that we built for Checkmate and hoping scan remittance advices and checks to auto reconcile those, we're running carrier statements through that same process. And then again, leveraging our integration, able to auto reconcile those payables to the carriers and kick off an outbound payment for those as well. So really going from this, digital AR management platform to now a holistic AR AP management platform for all of our insurance agency customers.
It's a lot, man. And I feel like you and I talked less than a year ago. That's quite a lot that you've brought to market.
We've been busy.
Yeah, no doubt. One thing I love that you said, first of all, before I get into some other questions, is just the fact that you were out in the market talking to your customers and listening to what they had to say. That's such a huge thing for any vendor that we might use out there, just to help us improve. Really, like, on behalf of all insurance agents, I just appreciate that you listen, because that's how you, I think, get the most bang for your buck in return. So thank you.
Couldn't agree more. We don't exist without those relationships, without business like yours,
Yeah.
right? And so our job is to continue to bring solutions to the market to make your life easier. So that's only way to really do that is to get out and talk to folks and listen.
Yeah. So take us down to the ground level. If I'm an insurance agent, let's talk about Finance Connect for a second.
Yeah.
If I'm an insurance agent and I've got a large premium that I am pretty sure that the client is going to want to finance, but I'm not really sure, and I have the option. I could call them, I could stop what I'm doing, take up my time, take up their time, discuss it, or what does it look like in real time for the agent with the next step?
Yeah, great question. So if you think about it today, it's offline, like you said, right? If you're a customer of ours or you want to be a customer of ours, and we're working with your premium finance company that you do business with today, and like I said, I've got pretty good coverage on that side. And if I don't work with them, let me know, and I'm
Yeah.
happy to go sign them up for the platform as well. Essentially, what we'll do is we'll pull information associated with the policy that you're getting ready to bind, and we'll send it over to the PFC, and we'll get an automated quote back on that policy. Or, by the way, if they don't finance those types of premiums, we'll get an auto response back that says financing not available for this policy type as well.
Okay.
But let's go down the path, assuming
Yeah.
they finance those types of premiums. We'll get the quote back. We'll present it. If there's only one option, that'll be what they see. Sometimes a finance company will present multiple options back, in terms of percentage of down payment and the number of installments. We'll present that to the insured right there on the checkout page.
Hmm.
So again, still have the paid in full option. And then right next to it, they'll see the financing terms. If they decide to finance, they simply click the button. We'll auto generate the premium finance agreement from the premium finance company, present it to the insured for signature. They can electronically sign there on the page. We'll then send the PFA back to the premium finance company. They'll book the loan. We'll take the down payment from the insured. We'll set them up for auto pay for the installment payments, and away we go.
That was a lot. That was like 15 steps that you just reduced down to like probably less than a minute.
Yep. Simplify, right?
That's insane. Wow. Um, wow. Okay. So how has this been received in the wild, so to speak, with agents when they've turned this on?
Ton of excitement out there right now. You know, we've been piloting it with a few folks so far, and we've seen a lot of real interest there in terms of the way it simplified their processes.
Wow, that's awesome. I mean, I have to imagine that's a ton of time savings. And when you were talking before about like talking, I'm putting that in air quotes, with the premium finance company, it sounds like that's happening in real time, right?
That's right.
It's not
Yeah,
like you're having to
exactly.
wait for minutes or hours or something for that to
No,
happen. This all
no.
literally happens at the time of checkout.
Again, yeah, exactly. Again, because we've got integrations into the back office systems that they use, and they're already ePay customers today,
Yeah.
we're able to go ahead and get real-time responses via the APIs that we've built into both systems to be able to exchange that data.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Holy cow. All right. So on Payables Connect, let's talk about that.
Yep.
Tell me how that, because I'm thinking about my own head of finance and how this could otherwise impact her. What does
Right.
that look like for her in real time? Can you kind of walk us through what that looks like?
Yeah, sure. So, typical use case that we've seen is, an agent, an MGA, a broker, they're getting hundreds, if not thousands, of carrier statements every month for the premiums that they've written, right, on the
Yeah.
agency bill side. So they get those statements in, and now somebody has to sit down and manually reconcile those statements against the receivables that you have from the insured to make sure that you've collected payment, that the amounts match. And then you have to, if there are items that need to be reconciled because there's discrepancy, go through and manually do that as well. And
Yeah.
then once all that's done, you have to check OK to pay, and then somehow kick off a process to send the carrier funds,
Right.
right? So essentially, what the Payables Connect product does is it takes all those carrier statements, we upload them into our system via a file upload. And then we use the same machine learning OCR, so optical character reader
Hmm.
technology that we built for Checkmate to scan those statements and pick out the data elements that we need to match that up in your management system against your open receivable. So we'll go through an auto match payable from the carrier to receivable from the insured in your management system and show you all the matches that we have and then
Okay.
flag those that don't match
Okay.
so that
That's
you're
what I was wondering is like, how accurate is it?
yeah, so right now we're running about 80% match.
Okay.
So 80% of the statements that we come in at a line item basis, by the way, we can match up against an open receivable in the platform. And we are saving a ton of hours for our clients in the back
That's
office
what I
as we
was gonna
roll this
ask you.
out.
Like, how many hours? I mean, even at
It really
80%, that's
it
a
depends
ton.
on the size of the
Yeah, yeah,
agency,
sure.
but significant time savings in terms of having to go through and manually reconcile all of those statements.
And I presume that you're able to do this with multiple agency management systems.
That's right. Yep.
Okay.
So we started out with a couple of the core management systems that we've got where we saw the most demand
Hmm.
initially, but we are in the process of integrating across the entire library of management systems that we've got integrations to.
Okay. That's awesome. I mean, I already know the email that's going to be fired off to my head of finance after after this podcast because that is one thing that takes a lot of time. She's been even training someone else to help
I think
with.
I lost you there, Jim.
Oh yeah, sorry. No, I
Oh,
was just saying that I definitely want to get with my head of finance because sounds like something that could be a huge time saver. So
yeah, yeah. I mean, big time efficiency in the back office.
yeah, amazing. All right, so then we talked about Finance Connect, Payables Connect. We talked a little bit about Checkmate last time, but I want to just kind of as a refresher for anybody who might not want to go back and listen to that episode in full. Give us the lowdown on what Checkmate does. Love the name, by the way.
Yeah, yeah.
Was that you
Thanks.
or some incredibly talented marketing team?
It was our brilliant marketing team here at ePay that came up with that. So kudos to them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, again, out meeting with our customers, and talking to them, we asked, hey, what percentage of your transactions have we been able to convert to digital? And the number was staggeringly still not as high as I would expect in 2023.
Yeah.
Well, this was 2022 when we were out talking to them. And so they said, look, we're not going to force our insureds into a payment method, right? They can pay us however they want. Can you help us deal with all these checks we still get? And so we just took a step back and said, yeah, sure, we can make that happen. And so that's why we built Checkmate. I would say well north of 50% of the payments that our agents get today are still paper check.
Yeah. Wow.
So
Wow.
yeah, and in some cases much higher than that.
Yeah.
And so we basically, leveraging a third party, built a lockbox solution across the U.S. that's geographically dispersed, so that we can cut down on mail time. We collect the checks, the physical checks, and the remittance advices. We run them through some high-speed scanners. We upload those files into our system. We read the digital images of the checks and the remittance advices we get. And then again, and I know I sound like a broken record, but leveraging this vast library of integrations that we've got,
Yeah.
we auto match that data against open receivables in your system to post the payment. And this product's been in market. I think we've been in market and in live for about 7 months now.
Okay.
Um, we processed north of $250 million worth of checks last month.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Okay.
And
That's
so
some data we didn't have the last time we talked. That's
that's
amazing.
right. Yeah. So it's really taken off. And again, significant time savings. We're actually seeing check match rates north of 90%.
Wow.
So 9 out of every 10 we're able to auto reconcile, and the accounting back office staff doesn't have to touch it.
So of the 10% that don't reconcile, then you're talking about our staff would need to then go
That's right.
reconcile that manually. But
So yeah, so we'll display any exceptions in the dashboard
okay, got it.
and call out like it's pretty obvious, like we've got it in red and
Yeah.
bold, like this
Okay.
didn't match. And sometimes like maybe somebody short paid,
Yeah.
whatever the case may be, and then your team can go through and reconcile those items manually.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Man, you guys have been busy.
Yeah, yeah, it's great, right? I mean, that was the vision all along is
Yeah.
that, look, like we love helping our clients on the digital AR side, but there are so many other things that we can help them with,
Yeah.
just given the core infrastructure that we built around the integrations into the management system and some of these workflows that we can bring some additional technology to help improve. And so it's been a lot of fun,
Yeah.
and it feels like we're just getting started.
That's awesome. Good Lord. So, I mean, I don't know if you can talk about anything else that's in the works or give us some indication. You guys have had so much innovation, I would say, in the last year and a half. What's on the horizon?
Yeah, without giving away too much of the long-term strategy here, I would tell you I think there's some other things that we can do in the market to automate what are currently fairly manual offline processes,
Hmm.
leveraging some of the core technology pieces I've talked about already that I think you'll be hearing from us on here over the next, call it 3 to 4 quarters. That'll be pretty
Awesome.
interesting.
I'm looking forward to that. I love that you keep using the term offline. I guess that's something you're probably used to saying or hearing a lot, but I'm not, and it makes so much sense when you say that. I think any agent listening to this, that resonates with them because they think, yeah, there are a lot of things that are not automated. And I just got back from a mastermind with Chris Paradiso in Utah, and that was one of the biggest things we talked about was just automation, automation, automation. I've been looking at all kinds of stuff recently that had to do with AI. I know everybody's
Yeah,
scared of that. That was something I was going to ask you too.
yeah.
Are you guys looking at leveraging any kind of AI technology?
Yeah, so I called it machine learning earlier,
Yeah,
but machine learning was actually an early form of AI.
yeah, yeah.
It just had a different name. So the models that we've built on our platform, we actually train them before we release them into production.
Right.
So by that I mean like so if you were to buy Payables Connect from us, for example,
Hmm.
before we turned you on in the implementation, when we were still in the test phase, we would have you send us some sample statement carriers that you get every month.
Okay.
And we would train the model where to go look for the data elements that we need
Got it.
and teach it where to go find these things to help improve the reconciliation process. And then once we go live, if we start to get carrier statements we haven't seen from you before, that's where it starts to learn. Like, oh, this is a new one, right? Where do it'll scan and figure out where the data element is. And then the next time it sees a statement from that carrier, it knows, oh, this data element's in the upper right-hand portion of the statement.
Okay.
That's how AI is applicable in some of the solutions that we're bringing to market and how we're training these models.
I'm really glad that you said that because I think there's some agents out there listening to this that might have been, and myself too, for a little bit of it, just a little bit trepidatious, thinking about like, oh my God, is this thing gonna like kill some other process that I have going, or is it gonna, not work properly and it's gonna be devastating? The fact that it sounds like you guys have basically a sandbox for
Yeah.
each agency that comes on board to play with it and make sure that nobody's hair is going to get caught on fire in the process.
Yep.
Then you release it into the agency and it does its thing.
Absolutely. We go through a really thorough QA process here. As you can imagine, particularly on a product like Finance Connect, where
Yep.
you're actually serving as a middleware between two different management systems, right?
Yeah.
One on the premium finance side and then one on the agency side.
Yep.
There's a lot of testing that has to happen there to
Yeah.
make sure that as we're making calls back and forth to the systems, that we're getting the right responses, we're
Right.
sending the right data elements, and we're posting the right information. So
Yeah.
there's just a lot of back and forth happening within the software.
Yeah.
We need to test in a lot of different scenarios so that the user experience is fantastic when we finally release it into production.
Yeah. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Let's get to here. I mean, and I know, I think we actually titled the last episode, how to train your algorithm.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's right.
Because
Yeah.
you talked about that a lot, the
Yeah.
algorithm. But
Yeah, that's right. That's
it
right.
is fascinating to me though, what can be done, what can be automated for agencies. And it sounds like everything we talked about today is just taking that one step further. And it's something that we desperately need. I think with the, we have a huge issue in front of us as independent agents right now with so many of the baby boomers retiring in the next few
Yeah.
years and either having no perpetuation plan, the kids are taking it over and they're not quite sure what to do. We have to have ways to become more efficient as agents if we're going to be able to compete with some of the larger brokers out there who are just going to eat our lunch if we don't take advantage of some of this stuff.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. And it's something that I talk to our clients about a lot. And it's a common theme in that, particularly in the inflationary environment that we're in,
Oh yeah.
right? The cost of doing business has gone up for everybody.
Yeah.
And so, what are the additional tools we can help deliver to them to reduce their back office expense, right? Make their team more efficient, right?
Sure.
So instead of maybe spending, one whole week, 40 man hours, a month reconciling carrier statements, how can we help you cut that down to 4 or
Yeah.
less,
Yeah.
right? Like, and
Right.
then give you those 36 hours to go do something better for your
Right.
business.
Right. And as we talk a lot about on this show is finding ways to automate the tasks that don't add value to the client relationship, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
reconciling is
right.
not one of those things that adds
Not.
value, right?
It's
The clients don't see that. They don't feel that. So what could we do with the person that we're freeing up 36 hours a week or a month?
Yeah.
What could they otherwise do that could add value to the
That's right.
client relationship?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And actually, I'm glad you brought that up because it was one of the things that also drove our thinking behind Finance Connect, right? So as we talk to our clients, a lot of them are considering sort of this digital journey,
Mm-hmm.
and all of them are on different phases of that journey, right?
That's why they're called
Depending on
independent.
on their on their situation. But like we talk to them a lot about the digital payment journey and
Yeah.
providing more digital options to your client in terms of a way for them to pay. And so Finance Connect is obviously a natural extension of that, right?
Yeah.
Like just giving them that digital experience, like we've all gotten used to on any e-commerce platform now. I mean, they all have the buy now, pay later option, right?
Yeah.
Through Affirm or PayPal or whoever
Yeah.
is behind it. But
Yeah.
go buy anything on an e-commerce site now, and it's like, you want to pay by credit card? You want to finance it in 4 equal installments, right?
Right.
That's sort of the standard.
Yeah.
And so, why wouldn't we do that in the insurance space as well? Particularly given the connectivity we've got on both sides.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I called ePay earlier a partner of the podcast, but you guys really are a partner to our industry as a whole, as independent agents, because you're making life so much easier for us. And I can't imagine life without you guys now, because a few years ago when we didn't have you, even just on, collecting premium from our clients, we're cutting our receivables time down from literally days and oftentimes weeks, depending on when clients would send checks or the mail would be, right now we're having unbelievable problems with the U.S. Postal Service. Sorry, USPS, but it's true. I don't think I'm hurting anyone's feelings, even if you work for USPS, but seriously, like it's a known fact, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
we're reducing that from days and weeks down to literally minutes or even hours in most
That's great.
cases.
Yeah, I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. Look, I think the other thing that's going to be really interesting, and you mentioned the baby boomers sort of phasing out
Yeah.
of the workforce. The other thing too is that the back end of that is the folks making the payments are more technology forward for the most part as well, right?
Yeah.
And so
They
I
expect
think
it.
like, yeah, exactly. They just expect those options. And
Yeah.
so I think we're really just sort of at the very beginning of this digital shift, in the insurance industry. And it's going to be fascinating to watch here over the next few years.
I love it. Well, you have a front row seat. I get to have a front row seat for this.
Yeah.
You get to have the best view, though. If anybody's still watching this on YouTube or LinkedIn or anywhere, yeah, I actually thought you were on vacation, and I was a little jealous because who doesn't want to
Right.
be
Yeah. Yeah.
sitting in
No,
front of a
no,
lake?
sitting in
There's
my
a
office
jet
here
ski
on
that's
Friday
going by right
afternoon.
now.
Yeah. Is there a boat going by?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's great. I love it.
It's fantastic. Well, Mark, I can't thank you enough for being on again with us and updating us. These are some critical updates. I can't wait to get this episode out to our audience. And any last thoughts on what we talked about today? And if not, where can people learn more?
Yeah, sure. So, our website's a great place for general information. Always welcome to give us a call, and we can talk anybody through any of the solutions. Yeah, look, we just look forward to continuing to serve our customers and the industry. It's been, in the 2 years that I've been here, by far the most fun that I've had in my career. And look forward to just continuing the journey.
That's awesome, my friend. I appreciate that. Yeah, we'll put a link in the description of wherever you're listening to this or watching this. And just looking forward to continuing to hear what you guys develop. Looking forward to having you back on soon enough to talk about the top secret things that you can't share with us today. So thanks a lot.
Absolutely.
Stick around with me for 1 second, Mark. But for everybody else, until next time, grow big or go home.